Hello, this is Brian Rothwell, and this is Guided Notes in the Classroom, presentation for EDU 723. There are multiple different ways of learning content in a classroom. One of them is to take notes from lecture given by a teacher, or it could be through reading. Some of the benefits of this traditional way of note-taking is that students will have a visual archive on paper of what is learned in class and can be used on future assignments, assessments, or just to refresh for their own purposes. Students have to listen and focus on what is said by the teacher, which also helps with learning. And writing down not only gives you that archive, as I mentioned before, but it helps with remembering just the act of writing the words out. Taking notes the traditional way can also present downfalls. Teachers often assume students are taking notes properly when oftentimes they are not. Students often lack the organizational skills to be able to do the accurate notes. Sometimes students can become distracted by trying to determine which of the information given in a lecture or out of reading is important, while also trying to accurately record this information. So sometimes some of the information that is important is lost. Sometimes it's extremely difficult for students with attention disorders to actually stay on top of and with what is being said. And other people, it's extremely time consuming. And in addition to this, some students with motor disabilities fail to be able to keep up with the teacher when it comes to taking notes the traditional way. So one solution to the traditional way of taking notes, it's a little more effective, is guided notes. Guided notes are teacher-prepared handouts that outline lectures, audiovisual presentations, readings. What happens is the teacher creates a paper, a worksheet, and leaves a blank space for students to fill in the key concepts, facts, definitions, or other things. The benefits of guided notes is that more oftenly they are easier than traditional note-taking methods. They can be differentiated, tiered, or scaffolded to better suit individual students' learning styles, including students with disabilities. In these notes, you can include charts, diagrams, and pictures to help assist student learning and understanding, which can be very important if a student, once again, has a learning deficit or deficiency or a motor deficiency. Students can learn the skills also that are needed to take notes in future classes where guided notes may not be available. They learn what is important to write down. They learn to listen for that key term or definition. Focus, they again can benefit by focusing the attention of the student to key terms, ideas, etc., waiting rather than writing all that is said. So it takes less time. More benefits are that students produce and complete accurate notes. They're usually, if you can walk around and keep an eye on things, students will definitely do more accurate notes. Um, they also increase students' active engagement with course content. Instead of a kid waiting or zoning out, they are actively engaging by writing a little bit at a time, which this also makes it more likely for them to ask questions because they aren't writing down constantly. Students also can achieve higher quiz and exam scores, which shows that learning is increased. Another benefit is that they can be used for all content areas and grade levels, including post-secondary schools, college, universities. And mostly, one of the most important things that can be used for guided notes is the fact that they fit the design for universal learning. Some of the drawbacks, and there really isn't that many of them, is that some kids may become disengaged mainly because they are used to the traditional form of note taking. Some students may become lazy note takers just because they know all they have to do is leave a word down, and they might become used to this. And then when they don't have the guided notes, then they might just write down a word and not understand what it is that their notes are for. And then, of course, it may not be demanding enough. Some kids might just become too bored because it's just not engaging enough. So, how do we create effective guided notes? Well, first of all, you need to examine your existing lecture outlines or create them as necessary to identify the most important course content that students must learn and retain via a lecture or in reading. What you do then is you take what you have and you delete the key facts, concepts, and relationships from that lecture outline, leaving a blank space. And then the student will fill in the information provided in that blank space. You can insert formatting cues such as asterisks, lines, and bullets to show students where to write and how many facts or concepts to write. So you can put multiple blanks in there and they know that there's more than one word. You can be using these in conjunction with PowerPoint slides, overhead transparencies to project the keys content. You definitely need to leave ample space for the students to write. Don't try to cram something in. They might overthink things and think that the answer is smaller than what is needed and probably or might even put in the wrong answer. A nice way of creating effective guided notes is to keep it simple. Don't require the students to write too much. You can enhance guided notes with supporting information, resources, and additional response opportunities. This is an example of a biology course that has the answers filled in red. What would happen is during a lecture or during a reading, they would have to try and find some of these key statements and then fill it in with the terms. For example, each cell in your body except sex cells has a nucleus with, and then the teacher would give the answer, and the student would have to be listening, and all they would have to write down would be 46. And as you can see, the rest of them are not very long either. But notice how F has asexual reproduction, and it has a space that's big enough to fit that word. If you'd like to learn more about guided notes, you can check out these websites.